months for full release, which begs the question: how many leagues between? There's 6 classes, so if it's 6 months, it's 1 class a month. You know where I'm going with this. So, can we expect any information in terms of the cadence of releases, upcoming things like weapons classes, skill gems, etc.?
Right. So the cadence we want to hit is sort of something similar to the kind of league cadence that we've done before for PoE 1. So that's I think that it works. Things work the best when you've kind of got like releases that are fairly large that like have a significant amount of stuff in them to actually bring people back and play and so on. So you can kind of expect a similar thing like that. For the actual like what is going to be in each release, obviously I'm not going to talk about that because we'll save that for the live stream and all that sort of stuff. But effectively, yeah, I mean that's kind of what you can expect. That being said, there's also a thing where like so we want to be able to do the balance patch addressing the balance issues that we've talked about as soon as we can. But in order to do a patch like that, you need to have enough content in it to be able to make sure that people actually come back and play it and that sort of thing as well. Like you need to be able to make enough changes and like add enough content that it's actually exciting. So we're going to work towards getting a like a PoE 2 sort of new league with new content in it basically as soon as we possibly can. So we're like I can't exactly say a date or anything, but like we're gonna rush for it, right? Like we're gonna really try and do it because we want to get to that point of stability of the balance that we're sort of happier with as soon as we can as well. So yeah, as I said, not going to say a date, but basically just. Look, we work reasonably fast. We're going to try and get it out as quick as we can. Hopefully we get that relatively soon for you guys.
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that the new acts is going to be involved in this, but I guess a little extra question to that when we talk about Act 4, 5, 6. Is the plans to add like one act, or are you guys?
Yeah. So this is honestly one of the freaking hardest questions ever, right? Like this is actually something that we've discussed back and forth so many times because. Like, if you're talking about it from a pure storyline perspective and like kind of what makes sense, like so there would be so imagine we release one act, right? It's like how does it fit exactly into having the leveling? Like, do you go like 1, 2, 3, 4 and then like 1, 2 again? Like that'd be kind of weird. Or like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, or like do you have Act 4? You can also play Act 1 or Act 4, or like like it's kind of just weird, right? And like. So, like, from that perspective, it's like, oh, we should do them all at once, like, at some point. But then on the other hand, we're like, okay, if we don't release the acts one at a time, then that kind of means, like, all the content from that we're sort of busy having to work on, we still have to have good releases, right? And so that means we have to have, like, more stuff in what we do release if it doesn't contain an act. So there's kind of this, like, complicated, like, puzzle around this. And it's like, and what we kind of thought, like... There are issues around this, but effectively we're like, okay, well, we're going to have to make Act 4. We have to be making Act 4 in the background right now anyway, right? So we don't technically have to decide what we're doing about this, like, right now. So, like, that's sort of happening anyway. So I guess that is to say that, like, there's still a lot of argument about this fact. And it's honestly such a hard one because I don't think there's a really great answer. Like releasing the acts one at a time would be making content so much easier because we get to immediately utilize all the stuff from that act to like make other content. Like it'll be so much, and like also it just immediately makes a release feel really big, right? So like that would be something that we could do, and it also would be good for our studio because like there's this phenomenon that always happens where like. You say, okay, this is when we're making this thing, but if people are not actually going to play it then like people have a different definition of finished from like, oh, people are actually going to play this versus like it just has to be ready internally, so like for just a production perspective, like I feel like the game will get made faster if we do release the acts just because it forces us to actually release them and like forces everyone to get it into a really playable state. But on the other hand, as I said, there's like all these kind of like practical issues with it. So
damned if you do, damned if you don't, huh?
Yeah, I know it's a bit of a tough one. So I mean, I guess the answer to that is still to come, and we just need to work out what we feel about this one way or the other. So I guess you'll see when we do our next announcement